Hello everyone, welcome back to Tech Talks with Anish. Today we are discussing a topic which is becoming relevant for almost every businesses in India. That is e-commerce. Whether you are buying products from an Amazon, selling on Flipkart, running a store on Meesho, ordering food through Swiggy, booking a cab through Uber, or providing services through an online platform. GST has special provision that you should know. And trust me, this is one area where I see a lot of confusion. Many people believe GST registration is always mandatory. Some think Amazon pays GST on behalf of sellers. Others confuse TCS with GST. And then there is Section 9, Subsection 5, which completely changes the person liable to pay tax. So, in the next few minutes, let's simplify the entire GST framework of e commerce in the easiest possible manner. Let's start with simple example. Suppose Raj is a manufacturer in Ahmedabad. He manufactures steel water bottles. Instead of opening physical shop, he decides to sell his products through Amazon. Now, the moment Amazon enters the transaction, GST law starts looking at the transaction differently. Why? Because now there are three parties involved: the seller, the customer, and the platform. And GST law calls this platform an electronic commerce operator or an ECO. In simple words, Amazon, Flipkart, Meesho, Swiggy, Zomato, Uber, and similar platforms are all electronic commerce operator under GST. Now the first question Raj will ask is something that most viewers also want to know. Do I need GST registration before selling online? The answer is not always yes, and that's where most confusion starts. Let's first talk about the platform itself. If you are an electronic commerce operator, registration is mandatory. There is no threshold exemption available. So platforms such as Amazon, Flipkart, Swiggy are required to obtain GST registration. Now let's come to the suppliers using these platforms. Suppose you are a service provider. Maybe you are a consultant, trainer, designer, or a freelancer providing services through an online platform. Many people believe that the moment services are supplied through an ECO, GST registration becomes compulsory. However, there is an important relaxation available through Notification 65 of 2017. Therefore, if the prescribed conditions are satisfied and your turnover remains within the threshold limit, GST registration may not be required merely because services are supplied through an ECO. Now let's come to goods supplier. Historically, selling goods through Amazon or Flipkart generally required GST registration. However, from 1st of October 2023, the law changed significantly. Today, certain small suppliers can supply goods through an ECO without obtaining regular GST registration. But this benefit comes with conditions. The supplier should generally make intrastate supplies. Interstate supplies are not permitted under this relaxation. The supplier should possess PAN. The supplier should obtain enrollment on the GST portal, and the prescribed condition must be complied with. So, if you hear somebody saying that GST registration is compulsory in every case for selling through Amazon, that statement may not always be correct after the 2023 amendments. Another major change relates to composition taxpayer. Earlier, composition taxpayer are generally not allowed to sell through e-commerce operator. But from 1st of October 2023, the law was amended and the composition taxpayer can now supply goods through ECO subject to prescribed conditions. This has opened a new opportunity for many small traders and manufacturers. Now let's assume Raj has completed all the registration related formalities and starts selling on Amazon. A customer places an order worth 1000 rupees. The customer pays to the Amazon receives the money, and now a very important question arises. Who pays GST? Amazon or Raj? The answer is simple. Raj will pay the GST. In a normal marketplace transaction, GST is paid by the supplier. Amazon is merely facilitating the transaction. It is not paying GST on behalf of the seller. And this brings us to another concept that creates a lots of confusion. That is TCS, tax collection at source. Many sellers see deduction in their settlement report and immediately think Amazon has paid GST on their behalf. That is not what TCS means. TCS is simply a collection mechanism. The government says that since platform is collecting money on behalf of the supplier, the platform should collect a small amount and deposit with the government. The amount is called TCS. Currently, TCS rate is 0.5%. Suppose Raj makes net taxable sale of 1 lakh rupee through Amazon. Amazon will collect TCS and deposit with the government. The credit of this amount will appear in Raj's electronic case ledger or a GSTM portal. So remember this carefully. TCS is not an additional tax, TCS is not an expense, and TCS is not the GST liability of the seller. It is simply a mechanism through which the government tracks and collects tax information. Now everything we have discussed till this point follows one basic principle. The supplier pays GST. Correct? However, GST law creates an important exception, and this exception is contained in Section 9, Subsection 5. Under Section 9, Subsection 5, for certain notified services, GST liability shifts from the supplier to the electronic commerce operator. In simple words, the platform itself becomes responsible for paying GST. Let's understand this through a practical example. Suppose a mobile charger is sold through Amazon. GST is paid by the seller. Now, suppose food is ordered through Swiggy. The restaurant prepares the food, the restaurant serves the customer, but GST is paid by the Swiggy under Section 9, Subsection 5. The same concept applies to certain passenger transport service, accommodation services, and housekeeping services notified by the government. And this is why Section 9, Subsection 5 is one of the most important provisions in e-commerce GST. Whenever an online transaction takes place, don't start by asking what GST rate applies. Instead, first ask a more fundamental question. Who is liable to pay GST? Friends, e-commerce is growing rapidly in India, and the GST law is evolving along with it. Therefore, whether you are a business owner, a tax professional, or someone planning to start an online business, understanding this provision has become extremely important. I hope this video helped you understand GST framework applicable to e-commerce businesses in a simple and a practical manner. If you found this session useful, do share it with fellow professionals and business owners. I am Anish Joshi, and this is Tax Talks with Anish, where we simplify GST for businesses. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next.